You burned my barn. You destroyed everything. Lena's voice cut through the cold Montana night like a blade. Cole Maddox stood 3 feet from the woman he'd protected for 3 years, his hands still bleeding from fighting the men who'd actually set the fire, and watched her believe the worst of him. Behind her, Victor Callahan smiled, the real arsonist, watching his perfect frame-up work. The entire town had gathered to watch Cole's arrest. Women who'd once desired him now looked at him with disgust. And Lena, the only woman who'd ever mattered, turned her back as the handcuffs clicked shut, choosing to trust a criminal over the man who'd sacrificed everything to save her. Before we continue, please subscribe to our channel and stay with us until the very end of this story. Comment below with your city so we can see how far this tale has traveled. The first time Cole Maddox realized he was in trouble was the day Lena Whitaker told him to stay off her land. She'd found him fixing the gate by her south pasture, the same gate that had been hanging crooked for weeks, the same gate her cattle kept pushing through. He'd stopped by before dawn, thinking she wouldn't notice, thinking he could repair it and be gone before she made her morning rounds. He was wrong. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Cole straightened slowly, hammer still in his hand. Lena stood 20 feet away, shotgun cradled in her arms. Not pointed at him, but not exactly casual either. "Gate was broken," he said. "I didn't ask you to fix it." "Didn't figure you had to." Her eyes narrowed. Even furious, even suspicious, she was the most striking woman he'd ever seen. Dark hair pulled back severe, work clothes dusty, boots worn down at the heels. Everything about her screamed independence. Everything about her made him want to stand closer. "I can fix my own gates, Maddox." "Never said you couldn't." "Then why are you on my property at 5 in the morning?" He set the hammer down carefully on the fence post. "Because this gate's been broken 3 weeks. Because your cattle are getting out. Because you think I'm incompetent." "That's not what I said." "It's what you meant." She shifted the shotgun slightly. Not a threat, just a reminder. "I've been hearing things about you, Cole. About how you've been seen near my ranch. About how you seem awfully interested in my business." Something cold settled in his chest. "What kind of things?" "The kind that make a woman wonder if she should be worried." Cole felt the words like a physical blow. 3 years. 3 years of watching over her ranch from a distance. 3 years of chasing off the drifters who eyed her property like easy pickings. 3 years of fixing what broke before she even knew it needed fixing. And she thought he was a threat. "I'll go," he said quietly. "Good." He walked past her, close enough to smell the soap she used, close enough to see the exhaustion carved into her face. She'd been running this ranch alone since her father died 8 months ago. Running it into the ground, if he was being honest. Though not from lack of trying, just from lack of help. Help she refused to accept. "Cole." He stopped, didn't turn around. "Stay off my land. I mean it." He nodded once and kept walking. Behind him, he heard her chamber around. Not because she planned to use it, because she wanted him to hear it. Wanted him to know she wasn't someone who needed protecting. The problem was, she did need protecting. She just didn't know it yet. That night, Cole sat in the Dusty Boot Saloon, nursing a whiskey he wasn't drinking, listening to the usual crowd talk about the usual things. Cattle prices, weather, women. The conversation always circled back to women. "You see Sarah McCall at the feed store today?" Tom Brennan grinned.
"She asked about you again, Cole. 3rd time this month."
"Not interested."
"Not interested in Sarah? Man, half the county would—"
"Not interested," Cole repeated. Tom laughed. "You're a strange one, Maddox.
Women throwing themselves at you left and right, and you sit here alone every night like some kind of monk.
Maybe I like being alone.
Or maybe you're waiting for someone specific.
Tom's grin turned knowing.
Someone who drives a beat-up Ford and runs that failing ranch on the east side.
Cole's hand tightened on his glass. That's what I thought. Tom leaned back.
You know the whole town's talking, right? About how you're always around the Whitaker place? How you seem mighty concerned about Lena's business.
People talk too much.
They're saying you've got intentions.
What kind of intentions?
Tom shrugged. The marrying kind? Or the buying kind? Folks aren't sure which.
Cole set his glass down hard enough to make Tom jump. Tell folks to mind their own damn business.
Easy, brother. I'm just saying what I hear. Then hear this. I don't want her ranch, and I sure as hell don't want people spreading rumors about intentions I don't have.
That was a lie, of course. He had intentions, just not the kind people assumed. His intentions started and ended with keeping Lena Whitaker safe, whether she wanted his help or not. The door swung open. Victor Callahan walked in, expensive suit drawing eyes, confident smile making Cole's jaw tight. Callahan was new to Red Hollow. Showed up 3 months ago with deep pockets and big plans. The kind of plans that made small ranchers nervous. "Gentlemen," Callahan nodded to the room. "Tom, Cole." Tom nodded back. Cole said nothing. Callahan ordered top-shelf bourbon, the kind the Dusty Boot rarely stocked, and settled against the bar. "Beautiful country you have here. Real authentic Western charm." "We like it," Tom said carefully. "I'm sure you do, though I imagine it's getting harder to maintain that charm. Tough economy for small ranchers these days." "We manage." "Some manage better than others." Callahan's eyes found Cole. "I hear the Whitaker ranch is struggling. Shame about her father. Left her in quite a predicament." Cole's voice came out flat. "She's managing." "Is she? Because from what I hear, she's barely holding on. Cattle sick, equipment failing, debts mounting." "Where'd you hear that?" Callahan smiled. "Small towns. People talk." "People should mind their business." "Business is exactly what I'm talking about, Mr. Maddox. I'm in the business of helping struggling ranchers find solutions. Fair market value for their land. Fresh starts. New opportunities." "Lena's not selling." "You seem awfully confident about what Miss Whitaker will or won't do. You speaking for her now?" Tom shifted uncomfortably. The whole bar had gone quiet. Cole stood slowly. "I'm speaking common sense."
Her ranch belonged to her father. Her grandfather before that. She's not selling to some developer looking to bulldoze history for profit.
Callahan's smile never wavered. "Everything's for sale, Mr. Maddox. It's just a matter of finding the right price. Or the right pressure." The words hung in the air like a threat. Cole stepped closer. "What kind of pressure?" "The economic kind. The realistic kind. The kind that makes people see reason." Callahan finished his bourbon. "I've made Miss Whitaker a generous offer. When she's ready to be reasonable, she knows where to find me." He walked out, leaving silence in his wake. Tom whistled low. "That man's trouble." "Yeah," Cole said quietly. "He is." 3 days later, Lena's cattle started disappearing. Not all at once, just a few head at a time. Easy to miss if you weren't paying attention. Easy to blame on broken fences or natural drift if you were running a ranch alone and didn't have time to track every animal. But Cole was paying attention. He'd been watching Callahan's movements since that night at the bar. watching the expensive SUV driving past Lena's property at odd hours. Watching the way Callahan's men, city boys in new boots, started showing up in town, asking questions, taking photographs. Watching the way pressure started building around Lena Whitaker's ranch like a storm nobody else could see coming. The first confrontation happened on a Tuesday. Cole was riding fence line on his own property when he spotted two of Callahan's men on Lena's land. They were cutting wire, working methodical and quiet, creating gaps big enough for cattle to wander through. He didn't announce himself, just rode up slow and let his horse's hoofbeats do the talking. The men looked up. One of them, tall, scarred, dangerous looking, smiled. "Private property, Cowboy." "You're right, it is, and you're on it. We're conducting a survey for Mr. Callahan. Surveys don't require wire cutters."
The tall man's smile faded.
"You want to take this somewhere else?" "I want you off this land." "Or what?" Cole dismounted. He wasn't a violent man by nature, wasn't the type to look for fights, but something in the way these men moved, casual, confident, like they owned whatever they touched, made his blood run hot. "Or I make sure Miss Whitaker knows exactly what kind of surveying you're doing." The tall man laughed. "Miss Whitaker doesn't trust you, friend. Whole town knows it. You think she's going to believe the word of some lovesick cowboy over legitimate businessmen?" The words stung because they were true. "Get off her land," Cole repeated. "Make us." The fight was brief and brutal, 2 against 1. Cole held his own. Ranch work kept a man strong, but he took hits he'd feel for days. When it was over, both men were on the ground, and Cole was breathing hard, knuckles split, ribs screaming. He fixed the fence they'd cut, gathered the scattered cattle,
Left before Lena could find him. Left before she could tell him to stay away again. That night, Sheriff Porter knocked on Cole's door. "Someone filed a complaint," Porter said, hat in hand, looking uncomfortable. "Said you assaulted 2 men on the Whitaker property. They were sabotaging her fence. You got proof?" Cole hesitated. "My word." Porter sighed. "Cole, your word used to mean something in this town. But lately, people are wondering about your intentions. All this attention on the Whitaker ranch. All this protecting someone who doesn't want protection. So I should just let them destroy her livelihood? I'm saying, maybe you should let Miss Whitaker handle her own problems, before people start thinking you've got ulterior motives." "What kind of motives?" Porter shifted his weight. "The kind where a man positions himself as a woman's only option. The kind where he makes himself indispensable. The kind that ends with him owning what he claims he's protecting." Cole felt something break inside him. "You think I'm running some kind of scheme? That I'm sabotaging her ranch myself, so I can swoop in and—" "I think you're a good man, caught up in something that looks bad," Porter interrupted. "And I think Victor Callahan is a smooth talker with money and lawyers. If this escalates, if there's another confrontation, I won't be able to protect you." "I don't need protection." "Yes, you do. Because right now the narrative in this town isn't about a cowboy helping a struggling rancher. It's about a man who can't take no for an answer." The sheriff left. Cole stood in his doorway, watching the sunset over Red Hollow, wondering when trying to do right had turned into looking so wrong. The answer came 2 weeks later. Cole woke to the sound of sirens, fire trucks racing east, toward Lena's property. He was in his truck before his brain fully processed what was happening. Drove too fast down roads he could navigate blind. Arrived to find Lena's barn engulfed in flames, firefighters working desperately to save what they could. Lena stood in the yard, face lit by orange light, watching her livelihood burn. Cole parked and ran toward her. "Lena!"
She spun on him, eyes wild. "What are you doing here?" "I heard the sirens." "So you came to watch? To see how bad it got?" "To help." "I don't want your help," her voice cracked. "I don't want you here, Cole. I don't want you anywhere near me or my ranch. Don't you understand that?" Every word hit like a physical blow. Behind her, the barn collapsed, sending sparks into the night sky. Inside that barn had been equipment, feed, hope. "Lena, listen to me. This wasn't an accident." "Of course it wasn't an accident. It was you." Time stopped. "What?" Her face was streaked with soot and tears. "People keep telling me, kept warning me. They said you've been obsessed with this ranch, that you've been trying to position yourself as my only option, that you'd go to any length to make me dependent on you." "You can't believe that." "What am I supposed to believe, Cole? You show up everywhere. You fix things I don't ask you to fix. You fight people I don't ask you to fight. And now my barn burns down, and here you are, right on schedule, ready to be my hero." "I would never get off my property." Her voice went quiet, deadly. "Get off my property and don't come back. If I see you anywhere near this ranch again, I'm calling the sheriff. Do you understand me?" Cole understood. He understood that Victor Callahan was better at this game than he'd thought. Understood that trying to protect someone who didn't want protection only made you look guilty. Understood that sometimes the right thing and the right look were two completely different things. He left without another word, drove home in silence. And for the first time in 3 years, Cole Maddox stopped watching over Lena Whitaker's ranch. Because she'd finally made it clear she didn't want his protection. She wanted him gone. So he was gone. The question now was what would happen to her without him. The silence lasted 4 days. 4 days of Cole forcing himself to stay on his own land, working his own fences, tending his own cattle. 4 days of ignoring the instinct that kept him awake at night, listening for trouble he was no longer allowed to prevent. 4 days of telling himself Lena Whitaker had made her choice, and he needed to respect it. On the 5th day, Tom Brennan showed up at his door before sunrise. "You need to see something," Tom said. Cole didn't move from the doorway. "Not my business anymore." "This is everybody's business." Tom's face was grim. "Callahan called a town meeting tonight. Says he's got a proposal that'll save Red Hollow's economy." "Let me guess. Buying up every ranch in the valley." "Close. He's offering top dollar for any property within 5 miles of the main road." "Says he's building some kind of luxury resort." "Jobs, tourism, progress." Tom spat the last word. "Half the town's ready to sell." "That's their choice." "Is it? Because the ones who aren't selling are finding themselves in financial trouble real fast. Banks suddenly calling in loans, equipment breaking down, accidents." Cole felt his jaw tighten. "What kind of accidents?" "The kind that look natural until you see the pattern." Tom stepped closer. "The Hendersons' well got contaminated last week. The Pratt's hay caught fire 2 nights ago. And yesterday, someone cut the brake lines on the Whitaker woman's truck." Everything inside Cole went cold. "Is she?" "She's fine. Noticed before she got on the highway. But Cole, this is getting dangerous. People are scared. And Callahan's standing there, looking like the only solution." "What do you want me to do about it?" Tom stared at him. "I want you to be who you've always been. The man who stands up when everyone else is backing down. That man's a criminal now, remember? A stalker. Someone who can't take no for an answer. You know that's bull.
Doesn't matter what I know. Matters what people believe. Cole started to close the door. Tell them to watch themselves at the meeting. Tell them to read the fine print before they sign anything. And tell them to leave me out of it. Tong caught the door. She's going to lose everything, Cole. You know that, right? Callahan's going to squeeze her until she breaks. And when she finally does, when she's desperate enough to accept help, you won't be there. That's what she wanted. No, what she wanted was to stand on her own. What she's getting is destroyed by someone playing a game she doesn't even know she's in. Tom's voice dropped. You can be angry at her. Hell, you should be angry at her. But don't let that anger get her killed. The door closed. Tom left, and Cole stood in his empty house, hands clenched, fighting every instinct that told him to saddle up and ride straight to Lena's ranch. He lasted until noon. The town meeting was packed. Cole slipped in late, stayed in the back, watched Victor Callahan work the room like a politician at a fundraiser. I understand your concerns, Callahan was saying, all sympathy and understanding. Change is frightening, but sometimes change is the only path to survival. My family's worked this land for 3 generations, old Martha Henderson called out. You expect me to just walk away? I expect you to make a smart business decision, Martha. Your well's contaminated. Your cattle are sick. How long can you sustain those losses? I'm offering you enough money to retire comfortably, to let the next generation choose their own path, instead of inheriting your debts. Martha's face crumpled. Her grandson put an arm around her shoulders. Callahan continued. I know some of you are resisting, holding on to pride instead of practicality. But ask yourselves, what happens when the bank forecloses? When you lose everything anyway, but without compensation, without dignity? Cole scanned the room, saw neighbors he'd known his whole life looking defeated, saw the Pratts whispering to each other, calculating, saw desperation replacing defiance in faces that used to wear determination like armor. Then he saw Lena. She sat 3 rows from the front, spine straight, jaw set. Alone. Always alone. Callahan's eyes found her. Miss Whitaker, perhaps you'd like to share your perspective? As someone who's experienced firsthand how difficult ranching has become? Every head turned. Lena stood slowly. My perspective is that you're a vulture circling wounded prey. Her voice carried through the room, clear and hard. My father built our ranch from nothing. He survived droughts, recessions, and every challenge this land threw at him. I'm not abandoning that legacy because some developer wants to build condos for rich tourists. Callahan smiled, patient, understanding. Your father was a remarkable man, but he also had help. A wife, hired hands, a support system. You're managing alone, aren't you? How long can you sustain that? As long as it takes. Even after the barn fire? Even after your well pump failed last week? Even after your truck's brake lines mysteriously severed? The room went silent. Lena's face paled. What did you say? I said it must be exhausting, facing one catastrophe after another. Almost like someone's targeting you specifically. Callahan's expression was all concern. Which is why my offer stands. Generous compensation. Clean exit. Safety. You threatening me? I'm offering you a way out before the next accident happens. Cole was moving before he'd decided to move. Pushing through the crowd, ignoring the whispers, the stares. He reached Lena's row. Meeting's over, he said quietly. Callahan raised an eyebrow. Mr. Maddox, how good of you to join us, though I'm surprised to see you here given your recent legal troubles. What legal troubles? The assault charges, the property damage,
The restraining order Miss Whitaker filed." Cole's blood went cold. "What restraining order?" Lena's face was pure confusion. "I never filed—" "Of course you did, after Mr. Maddox refused to stay away from your property, after the barn fire he allegedly started." Callahan pulled papers from his briefcase. "It's all documented. Perhaps you've forgotten, given the trauma." "I didn't file anything." Lena's voice shook with fury. "I never filed any restraining order." "Then perhaps someone filed on your behalf, for your protection." "Who?" Callahan smiled. "I did, as a concerned citizen who witnessed harassment, as someone who wants to ensure your safety." The room erupted, voices overlapping, accusations flying.
Sheriff Porter pushed through the crowd. "Everyone calm down."
"He forged legal documents," Lena said. "He filed a restraining order in my name without my permission."
"I acted in your best interest."
"You had no right." Porter held up his hands.
"Miss Whitaker, did you or did you not want Mr. Maddox to stay away from your property?"
Lena hesitated. That hesitation said everything. "I wanted him to stop interfering," she said finally. "But I never asked for legal action."
"Yet the interference continued," Callahan interjected smoothly.
"The obsessive behavior, the late-night visits. Someone needed to protect you from unwanted attention." Cole felt the room's energy shift, felt people looking at him differently. Not as a protector, as a problem.
"This is insane," Tom Brennan said from somewhere in the crowd. "Cole's been helping."
Has he? Or has he been creating problems so he can solve them, making himself indispensable? Callahan's voice dropped, confidential.
"Ladies and gentlemen, I've seen this pattern before. A man fixates on a woman, makes himself her only option, and when she finally breaks down and accepts his help, he owns her. Literally."
"That's a damn lie," Cole said.
"Is it? Then why were you on her property the night of the barn fire?"
"I heard the sirens."
"Convenient. And the fence-cutting incidents? You were conveniently nearby for those too."
"Because I was trying to stop them."
"Or committing them yourself."
Callahan turned to the room.
"Think about it. Every time Miss Whitaker's ranch faces a crisis, Cole Maddox appears. Every time she pushes him away, the crisis escalates. Classic manipulation."
Lena's face had gone white. "No, that's not... He wouldn't..."
But Cole saw the doubt creeping in, saw her trying to piece together a timeline that Callahan had deliberately corrupted.
"I'm done here," Cole said quietly.
"Running away won't change the facts," Callahan called after him.
Cole stopped at the door, turned.
"The facts are simple. You want this land. You're willing to destroy anyone who won't sell. And you're better at playing dirty than anyone in this room imagined." He looked at Lena. "But you'll figure that out eventually. Probably when it's too late." He walked out into the night, leaving chaos behind. Porter caught up with him in the parking lot.
"Cole, wait!"
"Am I under arrest?"
"Not yet. But if Callahan pushes these charges, if he produces evidence..."
"Forged evidence."
"Maybe. But he's got lawyers and money, and you've got a reputation for being protective of Miss Whitaker. That plays right into his narrative."
Cole leaned against his truck. "What do you want me to do, Sheriff? Stop caring? Stop noticing when people are in danger?"
"I want you to be smart. Stay away from the Whitaker ranch. Stay away from Lena. Let this play out."
"And when Callahan destroys her?"
"Then she makes a choice. Her choice, not yours."
Porter's voice softened. "I know your heart's in the right place, son. But sometimes doing the right thing looks exactly like doing the wrong thing. And right now, you can't afford to look wrong." Cole drove home. Poured a whiskey. Didn't drink it. Sat in the dark and tried to figure out how protecting someone,
had turned into persecution. 3 days later, Tom showed up again. "Lena's well is completely dry," he said without preamble. "Engineers say the aquifer shifted. Natural occurrence." "Bullshit." "Yeah, but proving it's another matter." Tom handed him a folder. "I did some digging. Callahan's company has been involved in similar projects across Montana. Every time, ranchers faced mysterious problems. Every time, Callahan swooped in with generous offers. And every time, the land got developed within a year." Cole opened the folder. Maps, documents, patterns of acquisition that looked too convenient to be coincidence. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because someone needs to stop him, and I can't. I'm just a rancher. But you're the only one stubborn enough to stand up when everyone else is sitting down. Everyone thinks I'm the problem. Then prove them wrong. Find evidence, real evidence, something that can't be spun or manipulated." Tom headed for the door. "Just do it without going near the Whitaker Ranch. Because Callahan's watching you, Cole. Waiting for you to make a mistake." After Tom left, Cole spread the documents across his kitchen table, started making connections, following money trails, building a case. He worked through the night, and in the morning he had something. Not proof, not yet, but a thread. A connection between Callahan's company and a water engineering firm. The same firm that had declared Martha Henderson's well contaminated. The same firm now investigating Lena's dry aquifer. Cole picked up the phone, called an old friend who worked for the State Geological Survey, asked questions, got answers he didn't like, hung up and stared at the evidence in front of him. Callahan wasn't just buying land. He was systematically destroying the water table, making ranching impossible, forcing sales through manufactured crisis. And Lena Whitaker's ranch sat right in the middle of his target zone. Cole grabbed his keys, knew he was breaking every rule, knew Porter would arrest him, knew Lena would probably call the sheriff the moment she saw his truck. Didn't matter. Some things were bigger than reputation, bigger than pride, bigger than the space between wanting to help and being allowed to. He was halfway to Lena's ranch when his phone rang. "Cole?" Tom's voice was tight with panic. "Where are you?" "Heading east. Why?" "Turn around, now. Sheriff's looking for you. Callahan filed assault charges from that fence line fight. They've got a warrant." "I didn't start that fight." "Doesn't matter. They've got witnesses, video evidence. Everything lined up perfect." Tom was breathing hard.
"Cole, this is a setup. They're going to arrest you. And while you're locked up, while you can't interfere, Callahan's going to make his final move on the Whitaker property."
Cole's hands tightened on the wheel. What kind of move?
The kind that forces a sale, the kind that ends everything.
"How long do I have?"
"Hours, maybe less. Bank's threatening foreclosure on Lena's ranch. Something about missed payments she swears she made. Callahan's offering to clear her debts if she signs over the deed."
"She won't sign."
"She will if she's desperate enough, if she thinks it's her only option."
Tom paused.
"Cole, you can't save her if you're in jail. But you can't save her from a distance either. So what are you going to do?"
Cole looked at the road ahead. The turnoff to Lena's ranch was 2 miles away. Behind him, probably, Sheriff Porter was already looking, making the choice between duty and friendship. "I'm going to get proof," Cole said. "Real proof. The kind that can't be ignored."
"How?"
"Callahan's water engineers. They're the key. If I can prove they falsified reports, contaminated wells deliberately, manipulated the aquifer."
"That's impossible. Those records are sealed. Company property."
"Then I'll unseal them."
"Cole, Tell Lena to hold on, just a little longer. Tell her not to sign anything. She won't listen to me. Then make her listen. Because if she signs that deed, everything I've done, everything I've risked, it won't matter. Cole's voice went quiet. And I won't be able to live with that. He hung up, made a U-turn, headed not toward Lena's ranch, but toward the water engineering firm's office in the next county. The office where the truth was buried. The office he was about to break into. Because sometimes protecting someone meant becoming exactly what people accused you of being. Meant crossing lines you'd sworn you'd never cross.
Meant risking everything on the chance that truth would matter more than perception. Cole Maddox had spent 3 years trying to do things the right way. Now, he was going to do them the only way left. The building was dark when he arrived. Security cameras tracked the parking lot, but Cole knew cameras, knew angles, knew how to move like someone who belonged. He picked the lock on the back door, skill learned from a misspent youth he'd thought he'd left behind. Slipped inside, found the records room exactly where Tom's intel said it would be. Started pulling files. Henderson Ranch. Contamination report dated 3 weeks after Callahan's initial purchase offer. Signed by an engineer whose credentials looked impressive until Cole cross-referenced them against state licensing databases. The engineer didn't exist. Pratt Ranch. Fire inspection report claiming electrical failure. Except the Pratts had rewired their barn 2 months before the fire. Cole knew because he'd helped them do it. Whitaker Ranch. Well, failure report citing natural aquifer shift. Except the geological data was falsified. Pressure readings that didn't match state survey records. Water table measurements that contradicted satellite imaging. Cole photographed everything. Didn't care about trespassing charges, didn't care about admissibility in court. Just cared about having proof that couldn't be explained away. He was downloading files to a thumb drive when he heard voices outside. Sure someone's in there? Security alert came through 10 minutes ago. Should we wait for Sheriff Porter? Callahan said handle it ourselves. Quietly. Cole killed his flashlight, pocketed the thumb drive, looked for exits. The voices were at the front door, which meant his back exit was still clear. Maybe. He moved fast and silent through the dark building, reached the back door, heard footsteps on the other side. Trapped. 3 men in front, 2 in back. And somewhere out there, probably, Sheriff Porter, making the drive that would end with Cole in handcuffs. He could surrender, turn over the evidence, hope it was enough. Or he could fight his way out, become exactly what Callahan had been calling him, a violent criminal who'd finally shown his true nature. Cole thought about Lena, about her ranch, about the way she'd looked at him that night outside her burning barn, believing he could be capable of such destruction. Made his choice, kicked open the back door, and ran straight into the darkness, leaving shouts and chaos behind. They'd call it fleeing, call it guilty behavior, call it proof of everything Callahan had been saying. But Cole wasn't running from guilt. He was running toward the one chance he had to save the woman who'd already decided he was beyond saving. Cole made it 3 miles before his truck died. Not died, was killed. Something wrong with the engine that hadn't been wrong an hour ago. He coasted to the shoulder, popped the hood, found the distributor cap missing. Sabotage. Professional. Planned. They'd known he was coming. He grabbed the thumb drive from the glove box, started walking. The main road stretched empty in both directions, nothing but darkness and distance. His phone buzzed. Sheriff Porter's number. Cole ignored it. Buzzed again. Tom's number this time. "Where are you?" Tom's voice was urgent. "Walking east on Highway 12. "Jesus, Cole, Porter's got half the county looking for you."
breaking and entering, theft of proprietary documents, resisting. I didn't resist anything. I ran. Same difference in their eyes. Tom was breathing hard. Listen to me. Get somewhere public, somewhere with witnesses. Turn yourself in before they find you alone on some dark road. Can't do that. Why the hell not? Because I've got proof. Real proof.
Callahan's entire operation documented. Falsified reports, manufactured crises, systematic destruction of water infrastructure. Everything we suspected and more. Silence on the line. Tom? How bad is it? Bad enough to put him away for decades. Bad enough to invalidate every land purchase he's made. Bad enough to save every ranch in this valley. Cole kept walking. But only if someone gets this evidence to the state attorney before Callahan buries it. Give it to Porter. Porter's a good man, but he's local law. Callahan's got connections that go higher. I need someone outside his reach. Then give it to me. I'll drive it to Helena tonight. Cole hesitated. Trusted Tom with his life. But this evidence represented more than his life. It represented Lena's future. Every rancher's future. Meet me at the old Miller barn, Cole said. 20 minutes. Cole, that's the opposite direction from town. From help. From 20 minutes. Come alone. He hung up, kept walking. The night pressed close, and somewhere behind him, searchlights were probably already sweeping the roads. 15 minutes later, headlights appeared. Not Tom's truck. Wrong color. Wrong sound. Cole stepped off the road into the brush, watched the vehicle slow. Callahan's SUV. The man himself behind the wheel, phone pressed to his ear. Doesn't matter where he is. What matters is what he took. Callahan's voice carried through the open window. Yes, I'm aware of the optics, but optics won't matter if those files go public. No, Porter won't find them all. Maddox is smarter than that. Then we make sure he doesn't get the chance to use them. The SUV passed. Cole waited until the taillights disappeared before returning to the road. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Cole Maddox? A woman's voice. Professional. Unfamiliar. Who's this? Sarah Chen, State Attorney's Office. Tom Brennan called me 20 minutes ago. Said you might have information about land fraud in Red Hollow. Cole's heart hammered. You believe him? I believe we've been watching Victor Callahan's operations for 6 months. What we haven't had is proof. Tom says you have it. I do. Then get it to me. Tonight. I'll meet you anywhere you want. Callahan's people are looking for me. Local sheriff, too. Are you guilty of what they're accusing you of? Cole thought about the picked lock, the stolen files, the flight from custody. Technically, yes. Morally, no. Chen laughed, short and sharp. I like honest criminals. Here's what's going to happen. I'm sending a state investigator to your location. He'll take the evidence directly to Helena. You'll turn yourself in to Sheriff Porter. Not until I know the evidence is safe. Not negotiable, Mr. Maddox. You're already wanted for B&E and theft. You run any further, and Callahan's lawyers will use that flight to discredit everything you found. They'll paint you as an obsessed stalker who fabricated evidence to justify harassment. She was right. Cole knew she was right. Fine, but the investigator meets me first. Evidence gets secured before I surrender. Deal. Where are you? Cole gave her his location, hung up. Checked the time. 18 minutes until he was supposed to meet Tom. His phone rang again. Lena's number. He stared at the screen, finger hovering over the answer button. 4 days since they'd spoken. 4 days since she'd ordered him off her property. 4 days of silence that felt like years. He answered. Cole?
Her voice was strained. Wrong.
I need to talk to you. Now's not a great time. They're saying you broke into Callahan's engineering office, that you stole documents, that you assaulted a security guard.
I didn't assault anyone.
But you broke in.
Cole closed his eyes. Yes.
Why? Why would you do something so reckless, Because those engineers falsified every report about your ranch. About every ranch in this valley. Because Callahan's been systematically destroying your water supply to force you into selling. Because the proof was in that office and nobody else was going to get it. Silence. Then, "You're lying." The words hit like a physical blow. "Lena, you're lying because you can't accept that I don't need you, that I don't want you. So you're creating some elaborate conspiracy to make yourself the hero of a story I never asked you to be part of. That's not. Sheriff Porter is standing in my kitchen right now. He says you're dangerous, that you've been escalating for months, that tonight you finally crossed a line that can't be uncrossed." Cole heard Porter's voice in the background. Calm, reasonable, convincing. "Let me talk to him," Cole said. "No, I'm calling to tell you something." Lena's voice went quiet, hard. "I'm selling the Callahan, signing the papers tomorrow morning. He's clearing my debts, giving me enough to start over somewhere else. Somewhere you're not." Everything stopped. "You can't do that." "I can. I am. And I need you to understand that your protection, your interference, your obsession, it ends now. Whatever you think you're saving me from, I don't want to be saved. Not by you, not by anyone." "Lena, listen to me. I have proof." "I don't care about your proof. I care about keeping my land out of foreclosure. I care about sleeping at night without wondering if you're out there somewhere, watching. I care about moving on with my life." "If you sign those papers, Callahan wins. Everything your father built." "My father built a prison. He built expectations I can't meet and a legacy I don't want. Maybe Callahan buying the land is the best thing that could happen." Porter's voice came through, taking the phone. "Cole, it's time to stop running. Come in. We'll sort this out."
"I didn't hurt anyone, Sheriff."
"Then prove it. Turn yourself in. Let the legal system work."
"The legal system is owned by the man with the most money. You know that."
"What I know is you've got a good heart that's gotten you into bad trouble. But this can still end without anyone else getting hurt. Just tell me where you are." Cole hung up, stood in the darkness trying to process what Lena had just said. She was selling. Tomorrow. Everything he'd done, every fence he'd fixed, every night he'd stood guard, every risk he'd taken, was about to be erased by her signature on a contract. Headlights appeared. Tom's truck this time, moving fast. Tom jumped out. "We've got problems." "What else is new?" "Porter's got roadblocks on every highway out of the county. State police are involved. They're treating this like a manhunt." Tom grabbed Cole's arm. "Give me the drive. Let me run it to Helena while you figure out how to save yourself." Cole pulled the thumb drive from his pocket, stared at it. This tiny piece of plastic represented the truth, represented justice, represented everything that should matter more than ego or pride. He handed it to Tom. "Get it to Sarah Chen, State Attorney's Office. Don't stop. Don't trust anyone local. And Tom?" "Yeah?" "If anything happens to me, make sure Lena knows the truth. Even if she doesn't believe it. Even if she doesn't care. She deserves to know." Tom's expression was grim. "What are you going to do?" "What I should have done weeks ago. Stand still and take what's coming."
Tom left in a spray of gravel. Cole started walking toward the lights of Red Hollow, hands visible, phone off, heading straight toward the people hunting him. He made it 2 miles before the patrol cars found him. "Hands up! On the ground!" Cole complied. Felt gravel bite into his cheek as officers swarmed. Felt handcuffs click around his wrists.
Heard his rights read in a voice devoid of sympathy. Sheriff Porter appeared, looking tired and sad. "Why'd you run, Cole? Had something to deliver first." "To who?" "Someone who'll use it right." Porter sighed. "Callahan's pressing charges. Breaking and entering, grand theft, assault on the security guard who claims you attacked him during the burglary." "That's a lie. You got witnesses who'll say otherwise?" Cole thought about the empty office, the dark parking lot, the voices of men he'd never seen. "No. Then it's your word against a man with lawyers who could argue rain is sunshine and win." Porter helped Cole to his feet. "I tried to tell you, tried to warn you this would end badly. It hasn't ended yet. Son, you just stole corporate documents and fled from law enforcement. Your reputation in this town is destroyed. Lena Whitaker thinks you're a stalker, And the evidence you stole, assuming you actually found anything, will probably be inadmissible because of how you got it." Porter opened the patrol car door. "How exactly do you think this gets better?"
Cole didn't answer, couldn't answer, because Porter was right about everything except the one thing that mattered. The evidence would matter, had to matter, because without it, Lena was signing her ranch away to a criminal, and everyone in Red Hollow was about to lose their land to manufactured crises. At the station, they processed him like any other criminal. Fingerprints, photographs, inventory of personal effects, wallet, keys, pocket knife. "Phone?" the booking officer asked. "Don't have it." "You were using it an hour ago." "Lost it." The officer's eyes narrowed. "Or ditched it. Where is it, Maddox?" "Probably somewhere between Highway 12 and here. Feel free to look." They put him in a holding cell. Concrete walls, metal bench. The smell of desperation and disinfectant.
Through the barred window, Cole could see the town square, could see Callahan's office lights still burning bright at midnight, could imagine Lena in her kitchen, signing papers that would end everything. Hours passed. No lawyer, no phone call. Just silence and the occasional footstep in the hallway outside. Then voices, raised, angry. "Don't care what your orders are. I want to see him now." Tom's voice, loud enough to carry through steel doors. "Sir, visiting hours are, this is an emergency and you know it. Either let me back there or I'm calling every news station between here and Helena." A pause. Then footsteps. Tom appeared outside Cole's cell, breathing hard, eyes wild. "It's gone," he said. Cole stood slowly. "What's gone?" "The evidence, the thumb drive. I was 20 miles out when someone ran me off the road. Professional job. Forced me into a ditch, took the drive, left me there." Tom's hand shook. They knew Cole. Knew exactly what I was carrying and where I was taking it. Everything inside Cole went cold.
How?
"I don't know, but Callahan's got the only copy of your proof, and without it, you're just a criminal who broke into an office and stole documents that apparently never existed."
Sarah Chen.
"I called her. She says without physical evidence, there's nothing she can do. Says your word against Callahan's company isn't enough for an investigation."
Tom gripped the bars. "We lost, brother. We lost everything." Cole sat back down, felt the weight of failure settle over him like a shroud. He'd risked everything, crossed every line, become exactly what people accused him of being, and it hadn't mattered. "There's more," Tom said quietly. "Lena signed the papers an hour ago. Deed transfer goes through in the morning.
Callahan's already got surveyors marking the property for development. She signed. Yeah, and Cole? She's leaving. Says she's done with Red Hollow.
Done with ranching. Done with all of it.
Where's she going? Didn't say. Just said she needed to be somewhere she could breathe. Somewhere the past didn't suffocate her. Tom's voice cracked. I tried to tell her about the evidence, about what you found. She said it didn't matter anymore. That even if Callahan was dirty, at least he wasn't you. The words shouldn't have hurt. Cole had known Lena's opinion of him. Known she saw him as a threat rather than an ally. But hearing it confirmed, hearing that even the truth wouldn't change her mind, cut deeper than any arrest. How long am I in here? Cole asked. Judge sets bail in the morning, but Callahan's lawyers are pushing for you to be held as a flight risk. Given that you literally fled custody tonight, they might get it. So I sit here while Lena leaves and Callahan wins. Unless you've got another miracle hidden somewhere. Cole thought about the phone he'd ditched 3 miles back.
The phone that contained every photo he'd taken, every document he'd photographed, before downloading to the thumb drive. The backup he'd created without even thinking about it. The backup nobody knew existed. Tom, Cole kept his voice level, I need you to do something, and I need you to trust me without asking questions. What kind of something? Cole gave him GPS coordinates, told him what to look for, watched Tom's expression shift from despair to desperate hope. If they catch me, they won't, because you're smarter than them. Cole gripped the bars. Get that phone to Sarah Chen. Everything's still on there. And Tom, move fast, before Callahan figures out the drive wasn't the only copy. Tom left. The cell door closed, and Cole settled in to wait. Morning came with the sound of boots in the hallway. Sheriff Porter appeared with a man Cole didn't recognize. Expensive suit, calculating eyes, the kind of lawyer who measured justice in billable hours. Cole Maddox? I'm Richard Stern, attorney for Callahan Enterprises. I'm here to offer you a deal. Not interested. Stern smiled. You haven't heard the terms. Don't need to. Whatever you're offering comes with strings attached to my soul. Mr. Callahan is willing to drop all charges. Completely. You walk out of here today, record expunged, reputation intact. Cole waited. In exchange, you sign an affidavit stating that you fabricated the documents you stole, that you broke into our office planning to plant false evidence, that your obsession with Miss Whitaker drove you to criminal behavior. No. You'd rather stay here? Face trial? Prison time? Because I can make that happen. I can make sure you never see daylight without bars between you and it. Then do it. Stern's smile faded. You're protecting her. Even now. Even after she abandoned you, signed away her ranch, left town without a backward glance. You're still trying to be her hero. I'm trying to tell the truth. The truth is fungible, Mr. Maddox, especially when it's one man's word against corporate documentation, security footage, and witness testimony. We have you on camera breaking and entering. We have guards who'll testify you assaulted them. We have a paper trail showing increasing harassment of Miss Whitaker over several months. All manufactured. Prove it. Cole said nothing. Stern leaned closer. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to take this deal, sign the affidavit, walk away. Because if you don't, I will personally destroy what's left of your life. I will make sure everyone in Montana knows you as the stalker who couldn't accept rejection, the criminal who fabricated evidence to justify obsession, the cautionary tale mothers tell their daughters about men who don't understand the word no. Get out. Think about it. You've got until the judge arrives. Stern left. Porter lingered.
Is any of what he said true? Porter asked quietly.
The breaking and entering, yes. The rest is fiction.
But you can't prove it.
Not anymore. Porter shook his head.
You're a damn fool, Cole Maddox. A noble, stubborn, self-destructive fool.
He started to leave, then stopped. For what it's worth, I believe you. I just don't know if belief matters anymore. Alone again, Cole closed his eyes and thought about Lena. About the way she'd looked at him that last night, eyes filled with accusation and betrayal. About the choice she'd made to believe the worst, rather than consider his motives might have been pure. About the fact that even now, even facing prison, he'd do it all again if it meant protecting her. The cell door opened. Porter stood there, expression unreadable. You've got a visitor. State investigator. Says it's urgent. Hope flared. Tom had made it. The investigator was a woman, 45, hard-eyed, carrying a briefcase that looked government issue.
She sat across from Cole without introducing herself.
Your friend delivered something interesting, she said. Very interesting. And it's enough to launch a full investigation into Callahan Enterprises. Enough to freeze all pending land transfers until we verify the integrity of the engineering reports. Enough to keep Miss Whitaker's deed in escrow until this gets sorted out. Cole felt something loosen in his chest. Lena still owns her ranch? Technically, the sale can't be finalized while it's under investigation. The investigator opened her briefcase. But here's the problem. Everything you found? It's inadmissible in criminal court because of how you obtained it. We can use it to investigate, but we can't use it to prosecute. Which means Callahan's going to walk. But Lena keeps her land. For now, until Callahan's lawyers find another angle. The investigator studied him. You threw away your freedom for a temporary hold.
You understand that? I understand I gave people time. Time to see what's happening. Time to organize. Time to fight back with lawyers instead of desperation.
Noble. Stupid. But noble. She stood. The judge will probably grant bail. You'll be out by afternoon. But Cole, the charges aren't going away. Breaking and entering is breaking and entering, regardless of your motives. You're looking at jail time. How much? Best case? Probation and community service. Worst case? 2 years. She left. Cole sat in the silence of his cell, processing the trade he'd made. His freedom for Lena's ranch. His reputation for the truth, however temporary. Worth it. Every bit of it was worth it, even if Lena never knew. Even if she left Red Hollow believing he was exactly what Callahan had painted him to be. Even if this was the last thing he ever did for her. Some things were bigger than being understood. Some sacrifices didn't need witnesses.
And some kinds of love endured even when they weren't returned.
The judge set bail at $50,000, an amount Cole didn't have and couldn't raise. He was preparing for another night in the cell when Tom appeared with a cashier's check. "Where'd you get that?" Cole asked. "Took up a collection. Martha Henderson, the Pratts, even some folks who half believed Callahan's story." Tom's voice was rough. "Turns out when you've been protecting people for 3 years, they remember, even when you look guilty." Cole walked out of the Red Hollow Sheriff Station into afternoon sun that felt wrong. Too bright, too normal for a day when everything had shattered. His truck was still wherever Callahan's people had left it. His reputation was in ruins. And somewhere, Lena Whitaker was packing to leave. "She's still at the ranch," Tom said, reading his thoughts. "Sales frozen pending investigation, so she can't leave until it clears escrow. Could be weeks." "She wants to go."
That's enough.
Maybe. Or maybe she's just scared and angry and doesn't know who to trust anymore.
Tom handed him a phone. "Yours was evidence. This is a burner. Sarah Chen's number is programmed in. She wants updates. Cole pocketed the phone. What's Callahan doing? Circling. His lawyers are filing motions to suppress your evidence, claiming illegal search. They're pushing hard to complete the Whitaker sale before the investigation gains traction. And Cole, Tom hesitated. He's been to see Lena 3 times since you got arrested, offering support, offering friendship, positioning himself as the reasonable one while you're the criminal. The manipulation was perfect. While Cole sat behind bars, Callahan was rewriting the narrative in real time. I need to talk to her, Cole said. You're kidding. You've got a restraining order, fake or not. It's legally binding until a judge says otherwise. You go near her property, and Porter will throw you back in that cell.
Then I don't go near her property. I go somewhere public, somewhere she can choose to meet me or not.
She won't come.
Probably not, but I have to try.
Tom dropped him at his ranch. The place looked abandoned, mail piling up, dust on the porch, everything frozen in the moment Cole had left to steal evidence that couldn't save anyone. He showered, changed clothes, sat at his kitchen table and tried to figure out what words could possibly bridge the chasm between him and Lena. Came up empty. The burner phone rang. Sarah Chen.
We've got a problem, she said without preamble. Callahan's engineering firm purged their servers. Everything you photographed? Gone. Wiped clean like it never existed.
You have my phone,
with photos that defense attorneys will argue could have been doctored. Without the original files to authenticate against, your evidence is circumstantial at best.
Chen's frustration bled through.
We can slow him down, Maddox. Make his life difficult.
But without physical evidence or witness testimony, we can't stop him. What about the ranchers he destroyed? Martha Henderson, the Pratts, all willing to testify about their suspicions. None able to prove Callahan deliberately sabotaged their operations. It's all circumstantial. Convenient coincidences that look suspicious but can't be proven in court. Cole closed his eyes. So he wins, unless we find something concrete. A witness who'll testify to direct knowledge of the fraud. Documents he couldn't wipe. Something that ties him directly to the sabotage. I'll find it. You'll go to jail if you try. You're already facing B and E charges. Any more vigilante investigating, and I won't be able to help you. Chen paused. I believe you, Maddox. I believe everything you found was real. But belief doesn't win cases. Evidence does. And right now, we don't have enough. She hung up.
Cole sat in the silence of his empty house and faced the possibility that everything he'd sacrificed had bought nothing but time. Temporary time. Borrowed time that would run out the moment Callahan's lawyers found the right loophole. The burner rang again. Unknown number. Cole Maddox? A male voice. Nervous. Young. Who's this?
My name's Danny Price. I worked for Callahan's engineering firm. Worked past tense. I quit 2 days ago, after I figured out what they were doing.
The kid was breathing fast.
I heard you got arrested. Heard you stole documents proving the fraud. I need to talk to you.
You willing to testify?
I'm willing to do better than testify. I kept copies, emails, memos, orders to falsify reports. Everything they deleted, I backed up before I left.
Danny's voice dropped.
But I'm scared, Mr. Maddox. These people are dangerous. They've already threatened me twice. Said if I talk, I'll have an accident like the ranchers did.
Cole's pulse kicked up.
Where are you?
Motel outside Billings. I can meet you, give you everything I've got. But I need protection. I need guarantees I won't disappear. Give me 2 hours. I'll bring the state investigator. You hand the evidence directly to her, and she'll put you in protective custody. How do I know I can trust her? Because she's been trying to nail Callahan for 6 months, and you're her best shot. You give her what she needs,
and she'll make sure you stay alive to testify. Danny gave him the motel address. Cole called Sarah Chen, explained the situation. She agreed to meet them with federal marshals for protection. "If this kid's legitimate, this changes everything," Chen said. "Direct employee testimony plus documented evidence? That's enough to arrest Callahan, freeze all his assets, invalidate every land purchase." "And if he's not legitimate?" "Then it's a trap, and you're walking straight into it."
But given that you've already broken into one building and fled custody once, I'm guessing you're comfortable with risk. Cole drove toward Billings, watching his mirrors for tails, taking back roads to avoid obvious surveillance. The motel was the kind of place people went to disappear. Cash only, no questions, rooms that smelled like desperation and cheap disinfectant. Room 114. Cole knocked. No answer. He knocked again. "Danny? It's Cole Maddox. Sarah Chen's on her way." The door cracked open. A kid barely 25 peered out, pale, unshaven, eyes red from lack of sleep. "You alone?" "For now. Investigator will be here in 10 minutes. Danny pulled him inside, triple-locked the door. The room was a disaster. Papers everywhere, laptop open, evidence of someone who'd been living on caffeine and paranoia. "I've got everything," Danny said, gesturing to boxes of documents. 3 years of falsified reports, orders from Callahan himself to contaminate wells, sabotage equipment, create failures that would force sales. It's all here, all documented. Cole started going through the papers. Emails from Callahan to engineers, explicit instructions to make ranches unviable, financial records showing payments to contractors for special services that matched dates of mysterious equipment failures. Everything Sarah Chen needed to build a case that couldn't be dismissed. "Why'd you keep all this?" Cole asked. "Insurance. I knew what we were doing was wrong, but the money was good and I told myself it was just business. Then I saw what happened to you, how they set you up, how they destroyed your reputation because you wouldn't back down." Danny's hands shook. "I realized that could be me. The moment I became inconvenient, they'd throw me away, or worse. So I started documenting everything." A knock at the door. Sarah Chen's voice. "Mr. Price? It's Investigator Chen." Danny moved toward the door, then froze. "How do I know that's really her?" Cole checked the peephole. Chen stood outside with 2 federal marshals, badges visible. "It's her. You're safe." Danny opened the door. Chen stepped in, saw the evidence, and her expression shifted from skepticism to vindication. "Mr. Price, I'm placing you in protective custody effective immediately. These marshals will escort you to a safe house while we process this evidence." "What about the ranchers, the people Callahan destroyed?" "If this documentation is as comprehensive as it looks, every land sale will be reversed. Every fraudulent report invalidated. Mr. Callahan and his associates will face federal charges." Chen looked at Cole. "You did it, Maddox. You actually did it." "Danny did it. I just gave him a reason to come forward." The marshals started collecting evidence. Danny was halfway out the door when his phone rang. He checked the screen, went white. "It's Callahan." "Don't answer," Chen said. Danny answered anyway, hands trembling. "Put it on speaker." "Mr. Price." Callahan's voice was silk over steel. "I understand you're having a crisis of conscience. Before you do something you'll regret, I'd like to remind you of our confidentiality agreement, the one you signed when you joined my company, the one that specifies severe penalties for corporate espionage." "I quit. The agreement's void." "Actually, the non-disclosure clause survives termination. Anything you reveal about proprietary business practices
constitutes a breach worth approximately $5 million in damages, plus criminal charges for theft of trade secrets. Callahan paused. I have lawyers who could tie you up in litigation for decades, Danny. They could destroy your career, your finances, your future. Or you could walk away quietly, and we'll forget this unfortunate misunderstanding. Danny looked at Chen. She shook her head. He's bluffing. Corporate NDAs don't protect criminal activity. Are you sure about that, Investigator Chen? Because I have very expensive attorneys who argue these nuances for a living. And poor Danny here has what? A public defender? Callahan's tone sharpened. Here's my final offer. You destroy whatever you've collected. You sign an affidavit stating you fabricated allegations out of workplace grievance. And you walk away with a severance package that'll set you up nicely. Or, Danny whispered, or I destroy you. Completely. Publicly. And when I'm done, you'll wish you'd taken the money. The line went dead. Danny sank onto the bed. He's right. I can't afford lawyers. Can't afford to fight him. The moment this goes public, he'll bury me in lawsuits until I'm bankrupt. The federal government will protect you, Chen said. We have resources. You have resources for the trial. What about after? What about when Callahan's out on bail with unlimited funds, and I'm trying to rebuild a life he's systematically destroyed? Danny's voice cracked. I wanted to do the right thing. I really did. But I can't sacrifice everything for justice that might never come. So you're backing out, Cole said quietly. I'm being realistic. You tried to be the hero, Mr. Maddox, and look where it got you. Arrested, reputation destroyed, facing prison time. I'm not strong enough for that. I'm sorry. Chen tried to reason with him, offered witness protection, relocation, financial assistance. But Danny had already made his decision. Fear had won over courage. They left the motel with nothing. The boxes of evidence stayed with Danny, who promised to destroy them before Callahan's people came looking. We're back to square one, Chen said, frustrated. Without Danny's testimony, those documents are just papers. We can't authenticate them, can't prove chain of custody, can't use them. Cole leaned against his truck, feeling the weight of another failure. He'll destroy lives. How many more ranchers before someone stops him? I don't know, but it won't be today, and it won't be through evidence that can't be verified. Chen handed him her card. If you find another angle, call me. But Cole, no more breaking and entering, no more stolen documents. The next time you cross that line, I won't be able to help you. The judge won't either. She left. Cole drove back toward Red Hollow through darkness that felt heavier than it should. Every turn brought him closer to the town where Lena Whitaker was preparing to leave, where Callahan was preparing to win, where everything Cole had fought for was crumbling into dust. His phone rang. Tom. You need to get to the Whitaker Ranch. Now. I can't. Restraining order. I'm at Lena's place. She called me 2 hours ago, panicked. Said she found something in her father's old barn. Something on the security cameras he installed before he died. Tom's voice was urgent. Cole, she's got footage. Weeks of footage. And she's been watching what you did. Everything stopped. What she saw. Everything. You fixing fences at midnight. Chasing off Callahan's men. Standing guard through storms. Fighting the ones who sabotaged her well. All of it, time-stamped and recorded. Tom paused. She knows, Cole. She knows you were telling the truth. Where is she now? Locked in her house. Won't talk to anyone. Just keeps watching the footage over and over. I think she's in shock. Did she see the night of the barn fire? That's the thing. There's a gap in the recordings.
3 hours missing the night the barn burned. But the footage before and after shows Callahan's men on her property. Shows them with accelerant. Shows them setting the whole thing up. Cole's hands tightened on the wheel. She thinks I burned her barn. She doesn't know what to think.
That's why you need to get here. Explain what happened. Fill in the gaps. Tom, I've got a restraining order. Porter catches me on her property. I go back to jail. Then meet her somewhere else, somewhere public. Because right now she's sitting in that house realizing everything she believed was a lie. Realizing she drove away the one person who was actually protecting her. And I don't know how much longer she can handle that alone. Cole made a decision. Tell her to meet me at the Dusty Boot. 1 hour. Public place. Witnesses. No restraining order violations. What if she won't come? Then I tried. That's all I can do. Tom hung up. Cole drove to the Dusty Boot, parked out front where everyone could see him. Walked inside to curious stares and sudden silence. The entire bar turned to look at the criminal who'd been arrested for stalking Lena Whitaker. Cole sat at the bar, ordered coffee, waited. 30 minutes passed, then 45. He was convinced she wasn't coming when the door opened. Lena stood there, face pale, eyes red from crying. She'd changed since he'd last seen her. Thinner, harder, like the weight of the world had compressed her into something brittle. She walked to the bar, sat 2 stools away from him, didn't look at him. I watched the recordings, she said. Her voice was flat, empty. Every night, for 3 weeks. Saw you fixing my fences. Saw you chasing away the men who were sabotaging my equipment. Saw you standing in the freezing rain, making sure my cattle stayed safe. Cole said nothing. I also saw the gap, the night of the fire. 3 hours of missing footage. She finally looked at him. Did you burn my barn? No. Then where were you? Why is there a gap? Someone cut the power to your security system. Killed the cameras before the fire started. When I arrived, the barn was already burning. I tried to help, and you told me to leave. How do I know you're telling the truth? You don't. You have to decide what you believe. Same choice you've been making all along. Lena's hands shook. Everyone told me you were dangerous. Told me you were obsessed. They told you what Callahan wanted them to tell you. And you believed it because it was easier than trusting someone who wouldn't explain himself. You never explained yourself. Never told me why you were there, why you cared. Would you have believed me if I had? The question hung between them. Lena looked away. I signed papers selling my ranch to Callahan, she said. Signed them believing you were the threat I needed to escape. Believing he was offering me salvation. Her laugh was bitter. Turns out I signed away my father's legacy to the man who was destroying it. And I sent the one person trying to save it to jail. The sale's frozen. You still own the land. For now, until Callahan's lawyers find a way to complete the transfer, until the investigation clears, and I have to face what I've done. She turned to him, tears finally falling. I'm sorry, Cole. I'm so sorry I didn't see. Didn't listen. Didn't stop. I destroyed everything. Your reputation. Your freedom. Your... Lena, stop. Cole's voice was gentle, firm. You made choices based on the information you had. Callahan's good at what he does. He manipulated everyone, not just you. But I should have known, should have trusted. Why? Because I fixed your fences without asking? Because I showed up everywhere you didn't want me? Trust isn't demanded, Lena. It's earned. And I never gave you reason to trust my motives. I just expected you to understand intentions I never explained. She wiped her eyes with shaking hands. What happens now? Now you fight.
The investigation's ongoing. Callahan's getting nervous. And somewhere out there is evidence that can stop him.
What if there isn't? What if Danny won't testify, and the documents are gone, and... Then we find another way. But we find it together. Not with me protecting you from a distance while you push me away. Actually, together. Lena stared at him. After everything I said to you, everything I believed about you, you still want to help me? I never stopped. Something broke in her expression. The wall she'd built, the pride that had isolated her, the fear that had driven every terrible decision. It all crumbled, leaving someone small and scared and desperately alone. I don't know how to do this, she whispered. Don't know how to accept help. Don't know how to trust. My father taught me independence was survival, and I've been surviving so long I forgot how to actually live. Then learn, starting now, starting with the truth. Cole slid a folder across the bar. Tom gave me this. Security footage from your barn. The parts before and after the gap. It shows Callahan's men setting up the fire. Shows them cutting your power. Shows them creating the crime they blamed on me. Lena opened the folder, saw the time-stamped images, saw the proof. This could clear your name, she said. Could stop Callahan. Why are you giving it to me? Because it's your ranch, your choice, your fight. Cole stood. I'll stand with you, but I won't fight for you. Not anymore. You decide what happens next. He started toward the door. Cole. He stopped. I don't deserve your help. Don't deserve your forgiveness. Don't deserve... Lena. He turned back. You deserve everything your father wanted for you. Everything you've been too scared to want for yourself. You just have to be brave enough to fight for it. I'm not brave. You're the bravest person I know. You've been fighting alone against impossible odds and refused to break. That's not weakness. That's steel. Cole moved closer. But steel shouldn't have to stand alone, not when there's someone willing to stand beside it. The bar had gone completely silent, everyone watching, everyone waiting. Lena stood slowly. If I do this, if I fight Callahan, it's going to get ugly. He'll come after both of us, destroy whatever reputation you have left, use every dirty trick he knows. Let him try. You could go to prison, Cole, for the break-in, for fleeing custody, for all of it. Worth it. How can you say that? How can you risk everything for someone who treated you like... Cole stepped close enough to see the tears still clinging to her lashes. Because some things are worth risking everything for. And you're one of them. Always have been. The words settled between them like a promise. Like a truth that had been waiting 3 years to be spoken. Lena reached for the folder, held it against her chest like armor. Then let's fight. Let's end this. Let's show Victor Callahan what happens when he underestimates people who've got nothing left to lose. Cole smiled. First real smile in weeks. Now you sound like your father's daughter. My father was stubborn and proud and impossible. Yeah, he was. You come by it honest. For the first time since he'd known her, Lena Whitaker smiled back. Small, tentative, but real. And in that moment, in a bar full of witnesses, everything changed. Not because the fight was over, but because, for the first time, they were fighting together. And together was a weapon Callahan hadn't prepared for. Sarah Chen arrived in Red Hollow the next morning with a team of federal investigators and a warrant to seize Callahan's business records. The warrant was based on Lena's security footage,
Time-stamped evidence of arson conspiracy that couldn't be explained away by expensive lawyers. Cole and Lena met Chen at the sheriff's station.
Porter looked uncomfortable, caught between his duty and his growing realization that he'd been playing defense for the wrong side.
"The footage is solid," Chen said, spreading the images across Porter's desk. "Callahan's men on Whitaker property with accelerant. Clear intent to commit arson. That's federal conspiracy charges, plus insurance fraud if we can prove Callahan benefited from the destroyed barn." "He offered to cover my fire losses," Lena said quietly, "after the barn burned. Said he'd write off the damages as part of the land purchase price. I thought he was being generous. He was covering his tracks, making himself look like the solution to a problem he created." Chen looked at Cole. "The footage also shows you arriving after the fire started. Corroborates your timeline. Combined with witness statements from the bar that night, we can probably get the assault charges dismissed." "Probably isn't definitely," Porter said.
"No, but it's better than what he had yesterday." Chen closed the folder. "Here's the situation. We've got Callahan on arson conspiracy. That's enough to freeze all his land acquisitions pending criminal investigation. But to actually convict him, to reverse the damage he's done, we need more. We need proof of the larger pattern, the falsified engineering reports, the systematic sabotage, the whole operation." "Danny Price has that proof," Cole said. "He just won't testify." "Then we need to change his mind, or find someone else who will." Chen pulled out her phone. "I've been doing background on Callahan's company. He's pulled this same scheme in 4 other states. Always the same pattern. Target struggling ranches, manufacture crises, buy cheap, develop expensive. But in Colorado, one of his engineers went public, testified about the fraud. Case fell apart when the engineer disappeared before trial." Lena paled. "Disappeared as in never found." Authorities ruled it an accidental drowning, but the family suspected otherwise. Chen's expression was grim. "That's why Danny's scared. He knows what happens to people who cross Callahan." "So we're supposed to convince him to risk his life?" Tom said from the doorway. He'd been listening, along with half the town who'd crowded into the station. "How do we do that?" "We protect him. Put him in witness protection before Callahan knows he's talking. Move fast, move quiet. Get him secured before anyone realizes what's happening." Chen looked around the room. "But I need help. Federal resources are stretched thin, and Callahan's lawyers will fight every step. I need local cooperation, local pressure, local proof that this isn't just one rancher's vendetta, but a community standing together." Martha Henderson stepped forward. "What do you need?" "Everything you've got. Wells that went bad, equipment that failed, accidents that felt wrong. I need dates, records, receipts. I need a timeline that shows pattern and intent." Chen addressed the whole room. "If Callahan targeted you, if you've been too scared to speak up, now's your chance. Safety in numbers. We move together, or we lose separately." The Pratts stepped up. Then the Johnsons, the Cassidys. One by one, ranchers who'd been suffering in silence started talking. Started pulling out records. Started building a case that no amount of money could defend against. Cole watched Lena standing among her neighbors, people she'd been too proud to ask for help, people who'd been waiting for permission to offer it. She was listening to their stories, seeing her own struggle reflected in their faces. "We should have done this months ago," old Martha said. "Should have stood together instead of falling separately." "We were scared," Lena replied. "Scared of looking weak. Scared of admitting we couldn't handle our own problems." "Pride's expensive. Near cost us everything." Martha squeezed Lena's hand. "But we're standing now. That's what matters." Chen organized the information rapid fire, building a case file that grew thicker by the hour.
By noon, she had enough to request additional warrants. By afternoon, federal agents were executing searches on Callahan's offices, his engineering firm, his financial records. Cole's phone rang. Unknown number. "Mr. Maddox?" Danny Price's voice was shaking. "They came to my motel. Callahan's people. Broke down the door. I barely got out." "Where are you?" "Hiding. But I can't stay hidden forever. They know I kept copies. Know I'm the weak link." Danny was crying. "I should have destroyed everything like I said I would. Should have taken his money and disappeared. Now I'm dead either way." "No, you're not. Listen to me. Where exactly are you?" Danny gave an address, a gas station off the highway, 40 miles from Billings. "Stay there. Stay public. I'm sending federal protection. 30 minutes, maybe less." Cole covered the phone, relayed the information to Chen. She was already moving, making calls, dispatching marshals. "Tell him to stay visible, stay around people. We'll get him." Cole uncovered the phone. "Danny, you hear that? Help's coming. You just have to hold on." "They're here." Danny's voice dropped to a whisper. "Black SUV just pulled in. 2 men. They're looking for me." "Are you somewhere they can see you?" "I'm in the bathroom. Lock the door. But they're checking the whole building." "Then get out. Back exit. Run if you have to. Just stay alive until the marshals arrive." The phone went dead. Cole looked at Chen. "He's in trouble. Now." "Marshals are 20 minutes out. Local police are closer, but Callahan might have them compromised." Chen made a decision. "I'm going. Porter, I need backup." Porter grabbed his keys. "Let's move." Cole followed them to the parking lot. "I'm coming." "The hell you are," Chen said. "You're a civilian with pending criminal charges. You insert yourself into this situation, and Callahan's lawyers will claim witness tampering." "Danny called me. Trusts me." "You show up without someone he recognizes. He might run." Chen hesitated, then nodded. "Fine, but you stay in the vehicle. No heroics. No putting yourself in Callahan's crosshairs again." They drove fast, sirens off, to avoid alerting Callahan's people. 40 miles felt like 400. Cole kept trying Danny's phone. No answer. They arrived at the gas station to find the black SUV parked sideways, blocking exits. 2 men stood by the bathroom door, one holding a crowbar. Porter hit the lights. "Federal agents, step away from the door." The men scattered, jumping into the SUV and speeding off before Porter could get their plates. The bathroom door hung open, the lock smashed. Inside, they found Danny unconscious on the floor, beaten but breathing. Chen called for an ambulance while Porter secured the scene. Danny came to in the back of the ambulance, face swollen, ribs probably broken. "They wanted the files. Said they'd kill me if I didn't hand them over." "Did you?" Chen asked. Danny smiled through split lips. "Told them I'd uploaded everything to the cloud before I left the motel. Told them it was set to auto-release to every news station in Montana if I didn't check in every 6 hours." "Was that true?" "Yeah. Set it up last night after Callahan called. Figured if they came for me, at least the truth would survive." He coughed, winced. "So they didn't kill me. Just beat me enough to make sure I understood the consequences of talking." "You're going into protective custody," Chen said. "Right now, before Callahan realizes you're still breathing." "What about the files? The auto-release?" "We'll retrieve them, upload them to secure federal servers. And Danny," Chen's voice softened, "what you did took courage. Real courage. You might have just saved this entire valley." They took Danny to a secure federal facility. Chen stayed behind to coordinate the evidence collection, and Cole drove back to Red Hollow with a question burning in his mind. If Danny had uploaded files to the cloud, if everything was documented and ready to release, why hadn't Callahan just let him disappear? Why risk beating him and leaving him alive? The answer hit him as he pulled into town. Because Callahan didn't know the files were real. Didn't know Danny actually had the evidence. Had been bluffing, hoping to scare Danny into revealing whether the threat was genuine. Which meant Callahan was panicking, making mistakes, acting desperate instead of calculated. And desperate men made fatal errors. Cole found Lena at her ranch, standing in the rebuilt section of her barn. She'd started repairs the day the sale was frozen, refusing to wait for legal certainty before reclaiming what was hers.
Danny's safe, Cole said. Beat up, but alive, and his files are in federal hands. Lena turned, relief flooding her face.
Then it's over. Callahan's finished.
Maybe, probably, but he's got one last move to make, and I think it's going to be bad.
What kind of move?
The kind where a cornered animal fights hardest, where a man with nothing left to lose decides to burn everything down rather than surrender. Cole moved closer. Lena, I need you to leave, tonight. Go stay with Tom or Martha, somewhere Callahan can't find you.
I'm not running from my own ranch.
I'm not asking you to run. I'm asking you to be smart. Callahan's got people who'll do anything he pays them to do. If he decides you're the reason his empire's collapsing,
then let him come. Let him try.
Lena's jaw set.
I'm done being scared, Cole. Done hiding. Done letting men like him dictate my choices.
This isn't about bravery. It's about survival.
Same thing, when you've been living the way I have.
She stepped close to him. Besides, you're staying. Why should I go when you won't? Because I'm...
What?
More expendable? More capable of defending yourself? Or just more used to standing alone? Lena's eyes were fierce. We said we'd fight together. That means we stand together, too. Cole wanted to argue. Wanted to protect her the way he'd been protecting her for 3 years. From a distance. Without asking permission. Without explaining why. But he was learning that protection without partnership was just control wearing a different face. Together, he said finally. But we do this smart. Cameras everywhere. Porter on speed dial. And at the first sign of trouble, you call for help. No trying to handle it alone.
Deal. Same goes for you.
They shook on it. And for the first time since this whole thing started, Cole felt like they were actually on the same side. That night, Callahan made his move. Cole was checking fence lines when he saw the glow on the horizon. Orange light reflecting off low clouds. Fire. Big fire. He called Lena. Stay inside. Lock everything. Don't open the door for anyone.
Cole, what's happening?
Callahan's burning something. Don't know what yet, but it's big and it's close. He drove toward the flames, already calling 911. The fire department was ahead of him, trucks racing toward the blaze. It was Callahan's engineering office, the building that held his records, his files, his evidence of systematic fraud. Going up in flames, so complete, so thorough, that nothing would survive. Cole parked beside the fire chief. Anyone inside? Building was empty. Someone called in the fire anonymously 20 minutes ago. Said they saw smoke. By the time we got here, it was fully engulfed. The chief watched his crews work. This wasn't accidental, Maddox. Someone wanted this building gone. Yeah, someone who knew federal agents were coming to search it tomorrow. Sarah Chen arrived, saw the inferno, and swore creatively.
He's destroying evidence. Everything we hadn't seized yet. Everything's still in the building. It's ash now.
What about the files Danny uploaded?
Safe.
But defense attorneys will argue they're unverified copies, that without the original documents, we can't prove authenticity. Chen's expression was grim. Callahan just bought himself reasonable doubt.
So he wins. Again.
No, he delayed the inevitable, made our case harder to prove. But Danny's testimony, combined with the cloud files, is still enough to prosecute. It's just not the slam dunk it would have been with physical evidence.
Chen turned to Cole.
Where's Lena?
Her ranch. Locked down. Why?
Because if Callahan's willing to burn his own building, he's willing to burn anything. And the one piece of evidence we have that he can't explain away is her security footage.
The original recordings that show his men committing arson. Cole was running before she finished the sentence. Called Lena's phone. No answer. Called again. Still nothing. He broke every speed limit getting to her ranch. Found her truck still parked, lights on in the house, door hanging open.
Lena!
He ran inside, found signs of struggle. Furniture overturned, her phone on the floor, screen cracked. She was gone. Cole called Porter, called Chen, called everyone who could help. Then he saw it. A note on the kitchen table, written in handwriting he didn't recognize. Mr. Maddox, I have Miss Whitaker. You have something I need. Her security recordings. Original files, not copies. Bring them to the old Hammond grain elevator at midnight. Come alone, or she suffers the consequences of your heroism. This ends tonight, one way or another. Cole checked the time. 11:15. 45 minutes to make an impossible choice. Give Callahan the evidence and lose the case, or refuse and lose Lena. He called Chen. Callahan has her. Wants the security footage in exchange. We can't give him that. It's the only physical evidence that ties him directly to a crime. I'm not asking permission. Cole, listen to me. If you hand over that footage, Callahan walks. Every rancher in this valley loses. Everything you fought for disappears. And if I don't, Lena dies. That's not a choice, Sarah. That's not even close to a choice. Chen was quiet for a long moment. Give me 30 minutes. I can get a tactical team in position around the elevator. We take Callahan when he shows, save Lena, keep the evidence. And if he sees them coming, if he panics and kills her before your team can move, then we have a dead witness and a murderer. But we'd have a case strong enough to put him away forever. Chen's voice was gentle. I know that's cold comfort, but sometimes the right tactical decision and the right human decision aren't the same thing. Cole hung up, looked at the note, looked at the clock ticking toward midnight, made his choice. He drove to the Whitaker Ranch barn, found the security system, pulled the original recording drives, everything Lena's father had installed, everything that showed the truth. Then he drove to the Hammond grain elevator. The building was abandoned, decades of neglect leaving it skeletal and dangerous. Perfect place for someone who wanted privacy and intimidation in equal measure. Cole parked, grabbed the drives, walked toward the entrance. A voice called from the shadows. Far enough, Mr. Maddox. Show me what you brought. Cole held up the drives. Where's Lena? Callahan stepped into view, perfectly composed despite the chaos consuming his empire. Safe, for now. The question is whether she stays that way. You've already lost, Callahan. Federal investigation, witness testimony, cloud backups of everything Danny documented. This just delays the inevitable. Perhaps, but delays can last years in court. And without physical evidence, without those recordings, my lawyers can create reasonable doubt about everything. Danny could have fabricated files, could have altered documents,
could have lied out of workplace grievance. Callahan smiled. But video footage from Miss Whitaker's security system, time-stamped, authenticated, undeniable, that's harder to explain away. So I need it gone. And then what? You still face arson conspiracy charges, still face federal investigation, which my lawyers will fight, successfully. While everyone watches you, the stalker who broke into my business, stole documents, harassed Miss Whitaker, and finally kidnapped her to force my cooperation. Callahan's expression was pleased. That's the story my team is preparing. The narrative that makes you the villain and me the victim. It'll work beautifully, especially after Miss Whitaker confirms it. She'd never. She'll confirm whatever keeps her alive.
People are practical when facing mortality. Callahan gestured. The drives, Mr. Maddox. Now. Cole took a step forward. Stopped. Where is she? In the green elevator, 20th floor. Alone. Scared. Waiting to see if the man who's been protecting her will actually save her or sacrifice her for evidence. How do I know you'll let her go? You don't. You gamble on my word, just like I'm gambling on yours. Callahan extended his hand. The drive's for the woman. That's the trade. Cole looked at the building. 20 floors up. Unstable structure. Easy to stage an accident. Easy to make two people disappear and blame it on a romantic murder-suicide. He handed over the drives. Callahan examined them, satisfied. Pleasure doing business with you, Mr. Maddox. You're free to retrieve Miss Whitaker. I'll even give you a 5-minute head start before I call my men to secure the building. Cole ran for the elevator. Took the stairs. The actual elevator had been condemned for years. Climbed through darkness and decay, every floor more dangerous than the last. Found Lena on the 20th floor, hands bound, mouth taped, eyes wide with fear. He freed her quickly, quietly. Can you walk? She nodded. Then we run. Now. They made it to the 15th floor before they heard men entering below. Callahan's people, moving fast, cutting off their escape. There's another way down, Lena whispered. Old grain chute. Dad and I used to explore this place when I was a kid. It's dangerous, but it leads outside. She guided him through rusted catwalks to an ancient chute that dropped straight down. Cole looked at the 20-foot fall onto concrete below. This is your plan? You have a better one? Below, footsteps were getting closer, voices coordinating a search. Cole went first, hanging from the chute edge and dropping. Landed hard, felt his ankle protest. Lena followed, and he caught her before she hit the ground. They ran into the night, leaving Callahan's men searching empty floors. Made it to Cole's truck. Drove 3 miles before Lena spoke. You gave him the evidence. Why? Because evidence can be replaced. You can't. But now he wins. Now he destroys the recordings and walks away from everything. Cole pulled a small device from his pocket. USB drive. He destroys copies. The originals are still at the ranch, backed up in 3 separate locations. What I gave him were duplicates Tom made this afternoon. Lena stared. You played him. He's not the only one who can run a con. Cole handed her his phone. Call Chen. Tell her we're safe, and Callahan just accepted stolen evidence in a federal kidnapping case. Let her tactical team know they can move in. Lena made the call. Within minutes, federal agents swarmed the grain elevator. Found Callahan with the drives. Found his men searching for witnesses to eliminate. Found everything they needed to add kidnapping, extortion, and obstruction to his charges. Sarah Chen called Cole 20 minutes later. We got him. All of them. And the recordings Callahan accepted? They're time-stamped with tonight's date. Proves he knew about the arson, knew the evidence existed,
and took active steps to destroy it. That's consciousness of guilt. Jury's going to love it.
What happens now?
Now we build the case. Danny testifies. The ranchers testify. We show the pattern, the conspiracy, the systematic fraud. And Callahan goes away for a very long time. Chen paused. You did good, Maddox. Reckless, dangerous, probably illegal in 17 different ways. But good. She hung up. Cole looked at Lena, still shaking from adrenaline and fear and relief. It's over, he said.
Is it? What about your charges? The breaking and entering, the fleeing custody? Chen says with Callahan arrested and the full scope of his operation exposed, the prosecutor's willing to deal. Probation, community service, no jail time. Cole smiled. Turns out stealing evidence that exposes a criminal conspiracy gets you some leniency. Lena started crying. Not sad tears, relief tears. 3 years of pressure, releasing all at once. Cole pulled her close, let her shake against his chest, let her feel safe for the first time since her father died. I'm sorry, she whispered, for everything I said, everything I believed, everything I... Stop apologizing. We're past that now. Are we? Because I destroyed your reputation, got you arrested, nearly got you killed, and you're standing here like none of it matters. It doesn't. Not compared to this. Not compared to you being safe, and Callahan facing justice, and Red Hollow getting a chance to survive. Cole tilted her chin up.
Lena, I didn't do any of this expecting gratitude. I did it because it was right. Because you deserve protecting even when you didn't want it. Because loving someone means standing beside them even when they push you away. She went still. What did you say? I said loving someone, you love me. After everything, you actually... Cole kissed her. Gentle at first, then deeper when she kissed him back, with 3 years of denied feelings pouring into the moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Lena was smiling through tears. I don't deserve you, she said. Probably not, but you're stuck with me anyway. Cole brushed hair from her face. Question is, what happens now? Your ranch is safe, Callahan's finished, the whole valley's going to recover. What do you want? Lena looked toward her ranch, visible in the distance. I want to rebuild. Want to make my father's legacy into something I can be proud of. Want to stop running from help and start accepting it. She looked at Cole. Want to see if a man who's been watching over me for 3 years might be interested in actually standing beside me instead? I'm interested. Even though I'm stubborn and proud, and probably going to push you away 50 more times before I learn to trust. Especially because of that. Someone's got to teach you that strength and independence aren't the same thing. That accepting help doesn't make you weak. That love isn't a threat to survival. It's what makes survival worth it. Lena kissed him again, softer this time, certain. Then stay, she said. Not as my protector, not as my savior. Just as the man who sees who I am and chooses to stand beside me anyway. I can do that. They drove back to her ranch as dawn broke over Red Hollow, turning the sky gold and pink with promise. The barn stood half rebuilt, the fences needed mending, the land needed work. But for the first time in 3 years, the future looked possible, instead of impossible. By the time the full investigation concluded, Victor Callahan was facing 47 federal charges across 5 states. Danny Price's testimony, combined with the mountain of evidence from cloud backups and security footage, built a case no amount of money could defend against. Callahan took a plea deal. 30 years in federal prison in exchange for revealing the full scope of his operation and returning all fraudulently acquired land. Every ranch in Red Hollow was restored to its rightful owners.
Every falsified report was corrected. Every manufactured crisis was exposed and reversed. The valley that had been dying under Callahan's pressure came back to life with the resilience that only happens when people refuse to surrender what they love. Cole's criminal charges were dismissed with prejudice. His reputation, slowly, painfully, was rebuilt through the testimony of neighbors who finally understood the difference between protection and obsession. Not everyone forgave him immediately. Some never did. But enough people recognized the truth that he could walk through town without shame. And Lena Whitaker's ranch became what her father had always dreamed it could be, a place where independence and community lived side by side, where strength came from standing together rather than standing alone, where love wasn't weakness, but the foundation that made everything else possible. 2 years later, on a morning bright with Montana sunshine, Cole Maddox married Lena Whitaker in a ceremony held in the rebuilt barn that had once burned with Callahan's malice. The whole valley came to witness. Ranchers who'd fought beside them, neighbors who'd learned the cost of silence, friends who'd stood together when standing alone would have meant losing everything. Tom Brennan was best man. Martha Henderson cried. Sarah Chen sent congratulations from Washington, where she'd been promoted for her work breaking the largest land fraud case in Montana history. And as Cole kissed his bride, as Lena smiled against his lips with absolute certainty, the message was clear to everyone watching. Some kinds of love survive everything. Doubt, distance, betrayal, fear, because they're built on something stronger than romance or passion or even understanding. They're built on the choice to stand beside someone, even when standing alone would be easier. The courage to trust when trust has been broken. And the wisdom to know that the greatest strength isn't refusing help, but having the humility to accept it. Cole Maddox had been the cowboy everyone desired, the legend every woman noticed, the man every stranger instantly admired. But he'd risked everything for the one woman who ignored him. And in doing so, he'd found something more valuable than admiration or desire or legend. He'd found partnership that couldn't be shaken, love that couldn't be broken, and a future built not on protection from a distance, but on standing together through whatever came next. And that truth, solid and unshakable, was worth every sacrifice he'd made and every risk he'd taken.